Before start this video, please subscribe my channel and click on bell icon. Thanks.
Fertility treatment in the modern age usually involves assisted fertilization or medication. However, thousands of years ago, people had to get pretty creative when it came to enhancing fertility and guaranteeing pregnancy. Here are 10 ancient fertility treatments you probably wouldn't want to use today. Related, 10 crazy ineffective historical treatments for STDs, 10 a potion of butter and breast milk. 1 odd contraception method. Doctors have proposed dates back to the 4th century BC. The doctor in question, Hippocrates, was well known as a physician and is still considered a key player in the history of modern medicine. However, his remedies for infertility may be slightly questionable. In this treatment, Hippocrates prescribed women struggling with infertility to grind up lead and a stone that attracts iron. The women were to grind these two substances until they were smooth. The idea was that the vagina would soak up these ingredients and be better able to retain a man's semen. Like the butter and breast milk recipe, it's hard to say how effective this infertility treatment really was. Still, it was one of the few options available at the time for women who were struggling to have children. 2. 8 throwing offerings in a hot pool. Most ancient civilizations believed in gods and goddesses who were responsible for the way the world worked. Gods like Poseidon were responsible for the sea, for example, and would therefore require offerings if you were crossing the ocean. Similarly, many of these ancient societies had fertility gods who they believed were responsible for helping women get pregnant. One ancient civilization that believed in these types of fertility offerings was the Etruscan civilization. In Tuscany, archaeologists have dug up small statues of newborn babies that were thrown into a thermal hot spring. During this particular festival, they took it upon themselves to treat infertility. According to historians, during the Feast of Mars, one of the rituals practiced was that priests would run through the streets of Rome. Still, it was one of the earliest and strangest attempts at curing infertility. 4. 6. Reciting the Lord's Prayer. One of the more modern historic fertility treatments arose during the 13th century. This treatment was prescribed by an Englishman named Gilbertus Anglicus, who wrote several manuscripts about various medical and surgical practices. As he did so, he'd have to uproot a comfrey and daisy plant and squeeze the juices from the plant. His next step was to write the words "The Lord said, increase and multiply and fill the earth," as well as several magic words on an amulet. With that task out of the way, he would then have to wear the amulet the next time he engaged in intimate relations. According to the manuscript, doing so would cause the woman to get pregnant with either a girl or a boy. The Aztecs were a notoriously brutal group, so it's no surprise that their choice of fertility treatment involved human sacrifice. The Aztecs worshipped a goddess called Xochiquetzal, who they believed was responsible for fertility. In order to treat women who were struggling with fertility, they thought that those women had to be in favor with the goddess. To ensure the goddess's continued good favor, the Aztecs would select a virgin to pretend to be the goddess and marry a warrior who represented one of the goddess's husbands. The idea was that this ritual would ensure the goddess continued to bestow the blessings of fertility and healthy childbirth upon the disciples. As with many remedies, this one involved cooking up a tonic that hopeful parents could take. According to some medieval doctors, one simple remedy to help a barren woman get pregnant was to head into the field and pick some catnip plants. Next, the patient would need to boil the catnip in wine. Once the wine had boiled down to a third of its original volume, it was ready to drink. The patient would have to drink the catnip wine on an empty stomach for 3 days. The next step was to mix the powder with wine. According to the text that laid out this remedy, the patient would need to drink the wine for 3 days in order to ensure fertility. What's interesting about this remedy is that the doctor who wrote out the recipe never specified whether it was the woman or the man that had to take the potion. They believed that you had to palace umbilical cords and placentas beneath the home of any woman who wanted to fall pregnant. Once again, we can't say for sure how effective this infertility treatment really was. He wrote extensively on a number of topics. One topic that Pliny the Elder decided to cover was that of medicine and, in particular, fertility. In one of his texts, he described that a simple cure for infertility was to drink the urine of a eunuch. The idea was that doing so would work against any negative infertility spells. Eunuch's urine wasn't the only urine that Pliny the Elder proposed people drink either. He also suggested that horse, bull, and boar urine were great ways to help improve sexual arousal and increase desire in the bedroom. 10. Fact checked by Darcy Heikkinen. Thanks for watching. Credits to listverse.com. Please subscribe my channel for more videos.